Well, first of all, I barely want to do this recap after I read some of the comments that you guys posted yesterday. I've got a bone to pick. Let's jump right into it. So, obviously, I'm under the weather. That's no surprise. You guys all know that. I come into the comments, let me just filter it, RFK. And how many of you guys thought it'd be funny to kick a man while he's down and say that I sound like RFK while he's teaching people how to day trade? Not funny. All right. Now, fortunately, I'm in a good mood today, and I'm going to let it slide this time because I'm currently sitting up $81,406.57. Holy smokes. This is the biggest green day of 2025 so far, and ALUR was the biggest winner. And this is a stock that gave us a real roller coaster ride today because at 9:30, the opening bell, what did they do? Drop news of an offering. Are you kidding me? A secondary offering right at the open. So ALUR starts squeezing after hours right here. So this is kind of interesting because the last couple of trading sessions, we've had a number of stocks that began their move either in the afternoon or after hours. So yesterday, my big wins were on the Chinese IPOs that started on the previous day. And also, just as a side note, so some people were like, wait a second, Ross, I thought you said don't trade Chinese stocks. So what I've always said is that you've got to be really careful with Chinese stocks because we know that Chinese stocks are used as vehicles for pump and dumps. We've seen this as a long established history where they'll kind of, get pumped up and then in one day they'll lose 95% of their value. It's crazy when they have these days where they dump. So for that reason, you've got to be careful not to overstay your welcome, but I'm not opposed to riding the momentum on the front side of the move. And so I just sort of accept that if I'm looking at a stock and it's Chinese, I need to approach it with a little bit more caution. And that's basically it. So it's just about knowing what you're trading. That's the most important thing. And you may decide that for your strategy, it's not worth it to take the risk to trade something like a Chinese small cap. Now, obviously, we're trading small caps because we need volatility. We don't make money buying a stock at $5 and selling it at $5, of course. We make money when we could buy a stock at 5 and sell it at 10 or 15, as the case was for a number of these ones this week. So let's see. Let me jump onto the whiteboard here. So the thing that I would say is in terms of allocating, risk in trading, there's a spectrum. And so just like anything else, you could choose to put your money in CDs, right, or bonds, and you're really taking very little risk. It's pretty much guaranteed return. The value might fluctuate if you sell before maturity, but as long as you hold it, you're fine. And then you've got sort of this mid-tier, mutual funds, and then you've got mutual funds, and then you've got these ETFs, even like the S&P 500. So S&P 500 SPY is not without volatility. We look at the S&P 500, which of course I'm often looking at as a gauge of overall market performance, which makes sense because it's 500 of some of the biggest companies in the market. But it's just in the last, year and a half, it's gone up 50% from 400 up to 600. So we've had times where it dropped 30%. So this is volatile. Now, for me, I got into trading, I was looking at stocks like Apple. I was looking at, like ExxonMobil, XOM, US Steel, which is actually X. I was looking at some of these companies and I found that although they move intraday, their price action is not predictable. And that I did a lot better focusing on the high relative volume stocks, the stocks that had breaking news. And so every day there's companies that put out breaking news. But what I found, as you know, is that the lower priced ones give me kind of the bigger percentage returns. I'm going to have a little spoonful of honey. So noted that I don't sound great. Thank you for pointing it out. I brought the honey today. Okay. So we'll see if that helps. I'm not sure if it will. All right. So yes, Chinese stocks, no doubt, are a little bit riskier. But we got a couple this week that gave us some nice moves. And so then this morning, when I sat down, ALUR, I was like, all right, we've already got something moving. This is good. And I was watching it for the break of 8, coming into 7 a.m. And this thing broke 8 and went straight to 12, pulled back, went up to 18, went up to 20. But that's not how I started my day. I actually started my day with a trade on OST, and you'll see that I'm red on it, $4,500. So the reason I started with this one was coming right into the open. This is the first trade I took. I looked at it, and to me, this was moving, it was moving quickly right here. And I was like, this thing feels strong. On this candle right here, it had 500,000 shares of volume. So volume was cranking on this. And so I jumped into it. My first entry was 366, added at 370, added at 375. As it came up to a peak of 4, I said, you know what? I'm adding on this thing. So I added 4. And on this one, for a number of reasons, I took a really big position. So first of all, it's easy to underestimate how much being sick can affect your ability to kind of make good decisions and be clear and calm, cool, composed. So obviously under the weather, not sleeping well. and I also felt a little FOMO from yesterday because there were some big moves later in the day. I wasn't feeling well. I was resting. And then I see DWTX or whatever made this 800% move. So I was like, gosh, darn it, of course. So all of that contributed to me today coming out swinging a little hard. So I stepped up a little too heavy on this. And right at 7 a.m., it dumps all the way back down to 320. And I actually lost $6,000 on that trade. Now, I'm using generally my daily, I never want to lose more than I can make in one day. So I look at what I've been making over the last 30 days. And it's about $14,000 per day average. So this year I'm using my daily average as my daily max loss and also, kind of mentally what I would like to hit for my daily goal. So it's currently sitting on the year before today's profits was $204,000. So making some progress. This is good. Yesterday was the best day of the year with 41,000. Today I'm up 81,000. So now all of a sudden I'm sitting at 280 on the month. Wow. All right. So that's pretty exciting. So anyways, being down 6,000, disappointing, not the end of the day, not the end of the world. And so it stops me out. And I jumped in ALUR almost, minutes later. ALUR all of a sudden starts popping up here. So this was at 7:01. It started popping up. And I took my starter on ALUR at $8.24. So I'm in at 824, which was right about here. And this thing goes all the way up, as you can see, to 1180. So on that move right there, I made about $20,000 on ALUR and flipped from red 6,000 on the day to green about 14,000 on the day. But I didn't stop there, as you can tell. So this pulled back, dipped down, popped up, and then we got this amazing breakout right here all the way to 15. It was really awesome. So we got some great price action today, and it pulled back, and then it gave us another move higher all the way to 18. It pulled back. We had this double top right here, and I did take a trade here, and that did not work. It dropped down, and then it came back up, and I tried it again with smaller size, and I got that final trade up to 20. Coming into the open, I was sitting on my hands, and then 9:30 they announced the news of a secondary offering. So that kind of ruined the momentum on that stock. But ALUR was the biggest winner today with $47,000 in profit. And I was more aggressive on it, in part because I kind of was in the red and trying to recoup losses. And I wasn't as focused as I normally would be. Probably I normally wouldn't have taken as big of a trade on that first trade, and then would have been trading smaller initially on ALUR. And maybe I would have made less today as a result. But in any case. So then while ALUR is squeezing, EVAC was also on the scans. Now, by the way, ALUR, not a Chinese stock. This is a stock that is a U.S. company, had news that came out, After the closing bell yesterday, it was, what was it? Optimized muscle mass during GLP-1 therapy. So source 70% on weight loss therapy. Headquartered in Massachusetts. And anyway, so biotech company. All right. So this one squeezes up on that catalyst. And then EVAC's also biotech company. And we've traded EVACs before. This one also popped up right at the close, but with no news, just sympathy. That's it. Pulled back, popped up pre-market, pulled back, popped up pre-market, pulled back, and then ripped right here. And that move, just crazy. I mean, it's so strong, from $8 to $11 a share. So I got a couple fantastic trades on this one. And really, the name of the game is making sure you're trading the right stocks. So for the most part, I was trading the right stocks today, with the exception of OST, which, I did end up making back a little bit on when it came back up for the second attempt here, but then it double topped. But focusing on the leading gainers is important. ELAB, this is the other one I traded earlier today, squeezed up, didn't trade it here, bought it as it pulled away right here. Really nice breakout setup from 360 all the way up to just under 5. So, it was like, this is just great to see. Really strong momentum. So if you're a beginner trader, this is what I would suggest. Focus on your leading gainers each day. Focus on the top 5 leading gainers. This is where you're going to most likely find the cleanest price action. Now, right now, ELAB has dipped down a little bit, but at any given time, which ones are the leaders? Now, the problem is at this moment, the leaders are all a bit off their highs. Actually, no, NVNI is doing okay. But and GOEV is a little too cheap. But this is what I would encourage you to do. Focus on your leading gainers, because this is where you're going to see the most opportunity. Now, if you want to study up, I'm going to put a link in the description where you could watch one of my free day trading classes. It's an intro that will teach you about my strategy, or you could sign up for a 2-week trial. Now, I know it's Friday, so you might be thinking, well, why do a 2-week trial today? It gives you 2 full weeks no matter when you sign up. So if you sign up on Monday, you'll still have 2 full weeks. It'll just end on a Sunday instead of on a Friday. So I would encourage you to sign up, because what you can do is you can spend some time over the weekend watching some of the classes that we make available for people doing the 2-week trial. So you can come in on Monday morning already kind of warmed up and getting a sense of the way I trade, the way I find stocks, how I choose my entries and my exits. So links for both the class and the 2-week trial will be pinned to the top of the comments and linked in the description. So I encourage you guys to check those out. And I'm going to be watching these comments very closely today. So you guys better, you fooled me once. Shame on me. Fool me. So listen, I'm not going to sit here and get fooled. Not again. Not again. So I don't want to see a single comment about RFK. You have my word. If I see one comment. And also, by the way, tomorrow I've got an episode that I'm going to upload, Webull, how to day trade using Webull. And this is going to be an interesting episode, because you might be surprised by my opinion on it. So that's going to be coming tomorrow. So thank you guys for tuning in. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. So please manage your risk, take it slow. And I'll see you back here bright and early on Monday morning. And stay tuned for the upload on Saturday.